Welcome to the Future Makers podcast by Maend. Usually this is where we talk to scientists and engineers and fancy and smart people who make the world better.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we also make the world better.
I think so.
Yeah, today we just talk to each other because that was actually your idea. Why are we just talking to each other?
We are talking to each other because I thought we just started this podcast kind of out of nothing because we wanted to start a business together. We wanted to start doing things together. And I was like, people might not really know who we are or what we do. I know, not all the people know who we are. So I thought it would be like a good introduction to ourselves, and also something for people to refer back to or be like, but who are they? Are they actually fun to work with? Do they actually know what they're talking about? Although I think today we're gonna focus on, are they actually fun to work with?
No pressure.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's it. Welcome to my home.
Exactly. This is actually the first time that we are publishing the video. We have taken video before, but we've never used them for anything.
Yeah.
And this is the first time that we are face-to-face doing this. Yeah.
Yeah, we're in the same room. Yeah, the reason we haven't published videos so far, we have recorded them online. And we're always just like, we're going to do it, we're going to have a trailer. And then we don't do it. But it's going to happen now.
Yeah, and Ave is freaked out because she's in front of the camera, not behind, and the cameras are all alone there.
I'm very worried about the cameras and how they're performing without me. Let's see.
It's time for them to grow up and be independent. Don't be such a helicopter mom.
Exactly. A micromanager.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay, so we did make ourselves some questions, or make each other questions.
Yes.
We haven't shared these questions, so they're going to be total curveballs,
Yes.
I presume. But we did agree that they're going to be roughly in past, present, and future. I guess we're going to move chronologically.
Yes, let's do that.
Yeah. So, maybe you can start.
I can start. I actually had an icebreaker to begin this with, like a good retro. And since we are doing a podcast, I want to know, what are your favorite podcasts?
I think it changes by the week.
Weekly.
Well, okay, maybe not that frequently, but I really like the 6 degrees. What is it called? It's not the 6 pixels or something. It's a play on the word 6 degrees. It's kind of a marketing-y podcast, but it's evolved into more like a generic where's the world going to type of podcast, and I like it because you never really know what to expect, and it has some interesting guests and good conversation, and they're like hour-long episodes. I like that you can go deep in there and do like that. What else? I don't know. I mean, I found this Market Your Science podcast on LinkedIn by these couple of cool British guys. Wow, you're so professional.
You really listen to the stuff you should be listening to.
I try. I don't know. I have this pressure of trying to make the best of myself. Well, I mean, I'm not supposed to listen to any comedy, so I like Eliza Schlesinger's podcast. I enjoy that she gives advice to people about their private lives. Yeah. I like it that someone takes the authority to really have an opinion on your personal choices.
Wow, okay. Cool. That makes sense. Yeah. I realized that I don't listen to that many like professionally relevant podcasts. But then I was like, but my podcasts are YouTube channels because it's all camera related. I think it just doesn't deliver the message as well in a podcast if I need to know how to take great portrait photos outside, etc. Okay, so...
Yeah, that's true. But when it comes to my podcast habits, I feel I'm very old-fashioned because I never watch anything. I mean, we're doing this video now because I think we know that you're supposed to. People like it. But I don't think I would ever watch this on... I mean, all the podcasts I listen to in audio format alone, and then I'm in the forest and I'm like shaking my fist when I'm showing something to the camera, and I'm like, well, thank you very much for that. But at least they explain what they're showing.
Okay, makes sense. Good answer. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Okay, mine is really kind of a cop-out as a question. It's also an intro question, and it's just essentially, what do you think our audience should know about you?
Ooh.
Let's say in the context of introducing ourselves as podcast hosts, so if that limits it a bit.
Oh, okay, that's nice. I think I very recently actually found out what my credo is in life, or what I really work towards. I do want to be good at what I do, which is everything related to cameras, photography and videography, and I love it, and I like making people look good in front of the camera and feel comfortable and feel like themselves. But I want to be even more, I want to be great to work with. Because I think you can find people who are good at what they do, and you might not want to work with them. So this is something that I have really thought about recently, and it's kind of, it kind of had this clarity moment where I was like, no, this can actually be my USP, that people want to hire me because of how I am to work with, or work with me because of how I am. And it's nice to have as a guiding light, because I will never be the best photographer or the best videographer or any of these things. I will be good. I am good. But for me, working with freelancers, working with agencies, working with people, it has been much more about how we work together, how we gel with each other, and how they are towards my people or the people they need to work with, and what the attitude is, and how all the work actually flows.
So do you think it's objective? Like, how much is it about personalities? Maybe some people just don't like you. I mean, you can never get everyone to like you.
That can totally be. I think just personality differences will be there. But I think there are just professional characteristics. Maybe I really had some extreme bad experiences with working with creatives like me, where I'm just like, never again. And I very starkly see what I want to do different. But I don't know, for me, this credo works. For me, it makes sense. Personal differences will always be there, whether you're an asshole or not. But I think there's a higher chance of them being there if you're not a nice person to work with. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good. Let me see what I have for your... I do have a similar question, actually.
Come here.
I do have it. Give me a 30-second pitch of Angina.
No.
We work with startups. We work with companies who need to pitch constantly and constantly and constantly. Maybe we should work on our pitch as well.
We probably should. Yeah. I thought about it. I figured, this is something I need to have, but I was like, I'll just wing it. So let's see what my pitch today is. I don't know. I feel like I'm a #dumdum. That's become my credo, I suppose. I'm owning the fact that I never became a scientist. Instead, I am someone who communicates science and communicates technology. I'm able to grasp things quickly to a certain level, and when it goes too deep, I'm like, la, 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 don't care. But then I can make that surface level very eloquent. And so I like to work with people who complement me, so they are the smart ones. They can figure out the package, and then I just pull out the relevant details from them and make that into a nice bow. So I guess that's my professional pitch.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And it's true. Like, that's how you are.
Thank you.
It's very true.
I suppose.
Yeah.
Dum-dum.
Yes, you chose it.
I did.
Very good.
All right. My first past question for you is, since we all know that you worked in science communication a lot already, since you love science so much, why didn't you become a scientist?
Great question. Has a stupid answer.
Okay.
I think it has two stupid answers. I don't think I really knew what I wanted to do when I went to the university. So I went and there was this option in Tartu University in Estonia to do this general skills test. And if you score over 80, it's free choice of what you go to study. And I was like, if I get over 80, I'll go to study to become a doctor. If I get under 80, journalism. Mainly because I was a fan of Gilmore Girls and Rory was a massive influence.
She didn't turn out so well.
She didn't turn out so well. Yes, I should have, like, if I had seen the next episodes. But I scored 79. So then it was decided. Yeah, that's what happened.
All right.
Yeah. But in my defense, it's a very, very difficult test, and they do not want people to pass, that many people to pass. So it was what it was.
All right. Yeah. Congratulations on your choice.
Thank you. I have no regrets. Very good. So, my question to you, I also kind of just want to tell people how we know each other. Just a little bit before I ask this question, because it's half silly, half professional. So the first time I met Angina was at a job interview. She interviewed me for a marketing team in a medtech company, or med ed company, and this was 8 years ago, something like this. 8 years ago, I don't know. Could be. Yeah. And that's when we started working together. I got hired. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I got hired, and then we started working together, and we worked together in another company later on, and now we're doing business together. And for me, it has been really interesting knowing you professionally first, and then becoming friends. Because for me, the professional is always it's always there. Like, I just know you as an expert in your field. Which brings me to my questions. You are a writer for me. You are a writer in your heart. What brought you to writing?
I don't know. I've always written. I learned to write when I was 5, and I've been writing ever since. I mean, I guess it's for me, I've always written like a diary, some sort, and then I've written like monologues. It's a way for me to process my own thinking. So I've always written for myself, and it's the best way for me to just put my thoughts in order, and so I think better when I write. So it's been very self-centered from the very beginning on. I think about myself. So it's a very egoistic thing for me to do. I've learned to write about other people then later on, but I think the beginning was really, I wanted to get to know myself, so I interviewed myself through writing.
Have you kept all of your writings?
No.
Okay. How come?
Actually, I have one old diary, but I burned pages in the middle. I was like, this is so... It was a horrible period of my teenage years, obviously. Yeah. I was like, I did the whole dramatic move of burning this. I will never think back on that time of my life. I'm like, well, that's a little shame, but no regrets, really. I'm sure there were pretty crappy things, and yeah, I think I had like multiple different computers. I'm not very good at keeping data. I'm not a hoarder.
Yeah.
So I'm like, every time I buy a new phone or a new computer, I'm like, there was nothing worth keeping anyway. So I just let everything go, and I start from scratch.
Gives me anxiety. I'm an archivist. I need everything to be there.
Yeah, I started to pay for, like, I have this cloud service where I stored all my... So I made a graphic novel while I was in China, and I scanned everything. I still did everything by hand. Nowadays I do it digitally, but I scanned everything in like ridiculously high resolution, and then I'm paying shitloads every year for keeping these original scanned somewhere, and I never look at them. I will not need them. I feel like, I don't know, maybe I should just trash them, but it feels like they are worth keeping somehow for a while.
Yeah,
maybe you should just make them a little smaller.
That could work. Yeah. And what would be your most influential the books you've read or texts you've read? Do you have any favorites?
Comics, actually. I do think that,
of course.
Sandman comic was definitely a turning point in my life. That's when I realized that. I think for a lot of people, Sandman was the series that made you realize that comics are not for children. They are actually serious literature, serious art, and you can talk about interesting things. So this combination of visual and text, and of course anything that Neil Gaiman wrote and since has also been interesting. But yeah.
Okay. Cool.
All right. My Yes, I have one more past-related question, which is, what are you most proud of in your past professional career or education or whatever?
See, when you start answering these questions, you start feeling like a very lame person.
What do you
Because
mean?
what I want to say is the friendships that I've made and kept, and people who keep coming back to me for asking me for more work and all this. I really like returning customers.
And how is that lame?
I feel like everything that I say is very much related to people and building relationships. And I should be like, no, this one photo from the forest where I took where a squirrel had a... I feel like it should be something that I was really... okay, but see, this is me reframing things. Because I think relationships kind of just happen, but that's not true. You cultivate relationships, you make them happen. That is also that is also a kind of work, even though it's very enjoyable and stuff. So always taking photos, but when I'm taking a photo, I really feel like I'm setting the camera, I'm making sure that it's gonna do the right things, etc. It feels so much more like work for me. But yeah, the relationships and the people who want to continue working with me, even if we don't work in the same company anymore, or even if we haven't done things together for years, they're still like, no, but I could do this with Ave. That would be cool.
But that's even on brand. I mean, that's the whole Maend thing that we work with scientists and technology, but we bring the people aspect. So
true.
Well done.
True.
Well
That's very true. See, I haven't linked these things, so it's good.
But I mean, again, I mean, we're a marketing agency, but we don't really think too much about our own marketing.
No,
but I mean, ideally, I think it is our brand because it wasn't something that we figured, oh, this is gonna go well down the market.
Yeah.
People are gonna appreciate. It was just, it's our brand because that's what we believe in.
Yeah.
So that's. We'll see if it sells. Buy something from us. Prove us that this brand works.
Yes. No, that's very true. That's very true. I don't have any more past questions, but how would you reply to this one?
I think I had an answer yesterday, but I forgot it already. Goodness. I think my answer was that I'm very proud of going independent, but it's the most recent decision I've made. So it's kind of, if I thought more, maybe I could think further back, but I'm very proud that I dared to make the jump and just leave my day job and continue working with the same company on project base, but like take the risk. I feel I have been very, very freaked out and occasionally depressed and very worried about how am I going to pay my bills in a couple of months. Mm-hmm. But I've never regretted it still today. That's
cool. That's cool. Nice. Since you started talking about this, I'm going to move to present because I have a question about this. You did recently go independent. What are your first lessons of entrepreneurship so far?
Lessons? I don't know. I mean, I keep learning little things all the time, like what kind of post works and, how to talk to potential clients, what's interesting and what to do maybe one lesson that I was particularly curious, that happened quite early on already, is that I always considered myself terrible at networking. So this introvert part, I feel like I'm a mixture of introvert and extrovert. Sometimes I gain energy from social events, sometimes I lose energy. Networking and mingling has always been my hell. It's the most horrible thing I can imagine. I'm going to a networking event right after this. But ever since I started representing Maend and myself and my own expertise, suddenly it wasn't so bad and I actually enjoyed it because I wasn't trying to think like, what should I say about this company? What's like, how do I like... I can say whatever comes to my mind because I'm just talking for myself and everything I say it's going to be true because I'm the only expert in myself. Yeah. So that was fun to learn that you have these narratives of yourself that you've believed in like decades, and then suddenly you come into a situation where you learn that this was not all I'm capable of.
Yeah, no, that's very cool.
Okay, my present questions are, I don't know, maybe short and silly. Let's start with a very professional technical question. you're a videographer. So videos, contemporary videos, vertical or horizontal?
Oh dear. I'm such a heavy social media user that I'm completely comfortable with both. But when vertical came, I hated it.
I remember that.
Yes, I hated it so much because it's just, it's not your natural view. Your view is this. It's horizontal. And then I pushed myself to do Instagram stories and just to embrace the vertical in 2017. And I started enjoying this, and it's just a different way of seeing things. It's still not something that I super duper enjoy, like creating vertical for social media, but it's very fun to experiment with and try things out. And I am a heavy consumer of this content, so I should have more appreciation for this. But yeah, great question. I'm mostly doing horizontal.
I don't think I've ever seen a vertical video of you, but I don't use social media.
Yeah.
I shouldn't admit, but I really don't anymore these days.
Yeah.
Okay.
On Instagram, it's all vertical. Yes.
Okay, true. Yes, now I do remember. Back in the day when I was still checking out Instagram stories.
Yeah.
I started recently doing, so I never did any videos. I feel very self-conscious and I hate being on video, but I figured, okay, I'm trying all kinds of new things, so maybe I can do videos as well. And I was thinking vertical, horizontal, then I figured I can't decide. Square. I went with square. It's not for Instagram, there's no reason for it to be square, but I was like, I'm doing square because I'm a square. I'm a square dum-dum. So, yeah.
That's cool. That's a nice choice. I wanted to ask about you filming yourself. You can follow Angina on LinkedIn. Because I find that being on video is actually easier because I recognize myself better on video than I do on photos. I'm also not a person who really enjoys being in front of the camera. I like making everything work behind it. But when I see myself on video, it's much easier for me to be like, yeah, that's Ave. That is me. Whereas when I see this 1 millisecond of an expression a photo has captured, I'm like, okay, I guess. How do you feel about this?
Well, I don't like myself on video, but I'm surprisingly okay with it. When I looked at my first video, I was like, whatever. I'm with videos, like, I'm just not going to even look at it again. And so... yeah, I do like photos more because I can pretend to be something other than something better. So.
Interesting.
I mean, I'm a writer. I feel like I express myself through text. In video and spoken, there's always something missing. I want to go and edit and change, find the perfect wording. So, I'm getting used to it, but it's definitely not in my comfort zone.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. My next question is, what makes you excited about work every day?
Well, nothing makes me excited about work every day.
I thought you have more like sparkles when you're independent.
Definitely. But it's like there's not one thing that works every day. It's different things on different days. Definitely, I am much more excited now that I went independent, and a lot of it is, defining my own schedule is one thing. So I'm really, already earlier I was not like, we didn't count hours, and nobody was paying me for my time except on a legal basis, but actually people didn't care. It was my contribution which mattered, which is how it should be. But still I knew that I'm supposed to work a certain amount of hours a week, and I was kind of roughly keeping track of that, and I felt guilty enough if I was doing something other than work in the middle of a day. And now I still feel that, and then I remember, it's just me. I don't have to feel guilty about myself for myself, so that's always nice. And I feel I have a freedom to figure out my own schedule. I can wake up when I want to. I've experimented putting an early alarm, putting a late alarm, waking up without an alarm, and working hard in the morning, taking easy mornings. So I like that I can try to figure out my biorhythm. Okay, that's kind of a lame answer.
Why?
Well, I mean, it's just about the routine.
But it's also about the freedom.
Yeah.
As a person who gets really unhappy in a routine, I understand that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess more like going more into the content of the work. It's really the chance to learn something and try out different things. Because really, being an entrepreneur is being everything, every single role in a tiny company. So it's figuring out how to do sales and figuring out how to manage freelancers whenever we need something extra. Of course, I've done that already for years, so that's nothing new. But like, I have all these different roles and I can juggle. I'm not so fond of the finance role, but it's also cool. Kind of like, I know how taxation works in Switzerland. I know how to do VAT, and
That's
cool. It's nice to learn new stuff.
Yeah.
Is it my turn now?
You can ask a question.
Oh, okay. Yes, my second present question on generative AI. So I've definitely communicated my thoughts on what I think about ChatGPT and these writing AIs, but what's your professional opinion on generative AI when it comes to photography and videography and visuals in general?
Yeah, it's I am such a fan of technology usually, and I love all the new things and I want to try them out. Generative AI scares me a little just because there's so much, it's not graspable. I will never be able to try everything out because I'm just one person. It's fun to a certain extent to play around on Adobe with the video and asking it to do things, and with the photos as well. There was this wave when ChatGPT launched the 3.5, and people came out with business photos, where you could just feed 10 of your photos to AI and then it gave you business photos. And then you suddenly saw them popping up, and I was really afraid that this is gonna continue and people think it's okay, because I was like, these photos do not look like you. I don't know why you would use these photos, in quotation marks. It's I have this thing where I think for social media and content creators, when they just need something to show and overlay it with their audio or voiceover, it's cool that they can now just generate it in-house and just do it by themselves. I understand that it might help them create content more. I'm very afraid the content is going to look the same everywhere. I'm afraid we're not going to be able to appreciate real art. I'm afraid people have struggles separating between what is human created and what is AI created, because for me it's still important. Maybe just because I'm a creative, maybe other people don't care. I still care. And I have this, with these AI generated portraits of yourself, I also created like 20. None of them looked like me.
But you say no photos look like you.
No, I didn't say this. They do look like me. It's just harder to recognize myself because I see myself in motion.
Okay.
Yeah. They totally look like me, but it's harder to accept it kind of in a photo because it's just this 1 second of something. I also felt kind of relieved because I saw that these photos do not look like these people, that I can still keep taking portrait photos of people and this profession will not die out. And because most of the videos that I create are interview videos, it's also a little bit harder to replace it unless you just don't use the people. You can do animation or something, I guess. So I feel all kinds of way about this. In some ways it's cool, it's new, it's interesting. In some other ways, I don't know how much there's like this distortion of reality happening, or this uncanny valley with images that you post that are not you. But we had this with filters before. We've always had this to a certain extent. So I don't know. I mean, I use ChatGPT every day.
Mm-hmm. What do you do with it?
I write corporate communication texts, which I don't think are super creative. And if it's guidelines or something, I think ChatGPT is a great way to start.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. The jury's still out there, I think. Let's see what happens and how it goes. I've seen people do cool things with it. But I've also seen people do questionable things with it and other people liking it. So I'm like, I don't know. I don't know where to find this balance of what's okay and what's accepted and what's not. And yeah, let's see.
Yeah, for me it's also a question of taste level, because I see a lot of people, like, I think you could use generative AI to have better results, to replace bad writing and bad images.
Yeah.
You can maybe get on the same level as average or okay-ish writers. And I don't know about the image side. That I think that's lagging a bit behind there.
Yeah.
But you're nowhere near good creators. And I feel like people are just getting excited about replacing bad stuff with moderately okay-ish stuff and flooding the world with it, which is like, I can see the excitement, but I don't want moderately good stuff flooding my world. So yeah,
I agree. And in some cases it takes you as long to prompt the AI to create the image that you want as it would to actually make the image yourself. So I'm like
but what if you can't make the image but you're very good at prompting? If it's a different skill set, that might make sense.
That would make sense, but there are always people who can make the image.
That's true. Now I'm wondering, you must have had clients who have a very specific idea of what they want and they get picky, like, no, that shadow is wrong. Do you think those people would eventually be able to create exactly the photo they want, even if they lack the visual creation skills, but they know what they want?
With these people, I'm not sure. Because I don't know if they're ever happy. But the very pickiest ones, I don't know. I don't know if they really know what they want. But it can definitely be helpful in many cases. Definitely, which is why I use it. But yeah. I feel all kinds of mixed ways about this, which I think most people do.
Yeah. Your question.
My question, because as I'm doing an MBA at the moment, and I hear all these business books and business thoughts and the same people on the slides all the time, and then I also hear the same things at my day job. One of the questions that I've heard a lot in the last few weeks that people come back to is from Simon Sinek, which is, what's your why?
Oh, goodness. I could start with make the world a better place, but that's a little silly. I don't think that's specific enough. I think everybody in their own way believe that's what they're doing anyway.
Oh, nice.
Maybe just for themselves, even if not for anybody else. So I guess professionally, it's to give smart people, inventors and scientists better tools to spread their ideas, because the world deserves to know. So yeah, I'm not sure if I'm looking at it from the scientist engineer perspective, like I want to help them, or if I'm looking at it from the world perspective that they deserve to know these things. It depends a bit on the day, but essentially I want to bring these two together to spread ideas, because I'm also a fan of technology, and I just think that people should know about the cool stuff that's happening.
Cool. That's good. Yeah.
All right. I only have one question left. I imagine I can come up with many more as we're conversating. What's the verb? Anyway, so that's my future question.
Nice.
I think you must have heard me ask the same question many times. I think I must have asked it in most job interviews and so on. But what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah. This is a good question again, and I hate it. And I think partly the reason why I hate it, or why I don't let myself be too bothered about it anymore, is because the world changes so fast. Like, making long-term plans, I know the direction, I know what the strengths that I want to focus on, people I want to work with, but everything around you, we just talked about Gen AI, which massively changes what I do and what people like me do. And you just need to adjust all the time. You need to adapt, you need to adjust, you need to reconfigure what you're doing. And it's kind of like with building a business, with being very open to changing the business plan. And seeing what works, and then going forward with this. So I definitely want to work with a team. I want to create, I guess, content. It sounds so empty, but good content that makes people feel things or understand things. Yeah, and people is the main part in this. I definitely want to work with people. I do get energy from people and ideas from people, and I love to see people develop, and I love to see them grow, and I love to see them figure something out and be like, oh, I have an idea, and then we get to create it together or see them create it. So there are like some North Stars that I have that I go towards, but everything else I also change as a person. Everything else is just figuring things out as you go. I like to say yes to a lot of things. Maybe I should say no more.
Do you regret not saying no?
No.
See, shouldn't then.
Yes. But it's really, I just want to see how things go and where I can do the best work I can do and contribute the most, and still be very kind of like honest to myself in still doing just what I want to do and how I want to do it and who I want to do it with. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I keep asking that question from people regardless of their age, because I think you have never grown up enough to be finished. So kind of along these lines that I don't expect. I mean, people do have sometimes very clear ideas of where they're heading.
Yeah.
I then inside chuckle myself, we'll see how that's going to work out. It's going to be something even more amazing, most likely. But it's always going to be something different. But it's fun to hear people's different ideas about the future.
I agree. And I mean, at job interviews, it's nice to give them a little panic. Like, have you thought about this? Yeah. I have a question as well. What's the dream?
The dream is to sleep late, have time off when the sun is shining, work your ass off all through the night when things are getting excited, and meeting lots of people and having lots of time to sit alone in the dark and just focus on work. So a diversity of all kinds of cool things.
That does sound like the dream. Yes. I also enjoy working nights.
I actually am more of a morning person, so maybe that's why I said it. The dream is being able to not be what I am all the time, so changing things.
Maybe you also don't enjoy routine that much. I don't know.
I think I enjoy routine, and then I have to break it and find a new routine. So I need to have a certain amount of routine, and then I can be like, I'm going to shake everything up and do something different now. And then I have a routine. Like when I go to work, when I went to travel to Zurich every day before COVID time, and when you were still supposed to be in the office, I would always take the exact same train. I would always sit at the exact same seat, and oh my God, if someone had already been sitting in that seat, I could not handle it. So that's my kind of routine, but then I have to shake it up and do something crazy again a couple of years later.
Interesting. Okay. Well, my mornings are panic. It's just pure chaos and panic and trying to catch any train. Okay. I have a last question.
Oh.
You might be familiar with this one. What will the world look like in 10 years?
Oh, goodness. I keep wondering, we ask this from all the people we interview in case the audience is wondering. And I'm always glad no one asks me. So that's exactly like, I'm asking this from people who are experts in something, and I presume they're going to use this lens. And I mean, in the context, people use the lens, so it's usually about their profession, like what kind of robots are we going to have, or what's happening with space policy. So for me, I don't really know what lens to use here. I do think I'm getting pessimistic here. Oh my God.
I get pessimistic about this question all the time.
So there are a lot of wars and crises going on. The climate change is not getting better. We're not really doing enough. We're going to all places and can't agree on what even works. Trust in science is rather deteriorating and not increasing. So I feel we're heading towards more chaos. Specifically, I can't see things turning around in 10 years, a different direction. But somehow I am ridiculously optimistic in that from the chaos something new will emerge. And at some point we're going to figure out, okay, this isn't working. Let's do something else. But I'm not sure when and what's it going to take.
Cool.
So, yeah.
I think I'm also pessimistic because I love the planet, I care about the environment, and all the humanitarian causes. But it also helps me understand why we want to give a louder voice to scientists and people who are trying to do good things. And it helps me stay, if not super optimistic, at least a bit realistic about things. That is not going to be immediate doom, hopefully. But there's things we can work on. Yeah.
I guess for me it's also like, I think I'm not a techno-optimist as, the manifest. I don't subscribe to that, but an optimist in I do believe in almost naively in technological solutions. So I do think we're going to figure out, I don't think humanity is going to bomb itself to death or die because we ruin the planet. We'll probably just find other planets to ruin. So, I'm very excited about space as industry and the direction. So I do wish we wouldn't have to go to space because we ruined Earth. But even if that happens, we'll be somewhere else. We'll be traveling. So I don't think that we'll be living on Mars 10 years from now, or we will not yet have generation ships. But someday, please give me generation ships. And I want to go out there. And I do believe that humanity will keep expanding. On my bad days, I feel we're going to expand like a swarm of locusts. On my good days, I'm like, we're going to expand like these wise creatures and spread knowledge and discover the world and whatever.
Yeah.
I think we'll prevail.
For the latter. Cool. Very nice.
All right. Was that it?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't write an outro for this, so maybe I will... You know what? We didn't even introduce ourselves at the beginning, so let's do it at the end now. I'm Angina Herman.
And I'm Ave. Now you also know how to pronounce the names.
Exactly. Even though I don't know if my name makes any sense. I pronounce it in a Finnish way, it's a German... Anyway, it's a mess. I don't know what language to use with my name. Anyway, so we are Maend, and we do this podcast monthly. Usually we have somebody else to talk to other than ourselves, but this time you got a special treat with just the two of us.
Exactly.
If you want more of this, do subscribe in all kinds of places, Spotify, for example.
And we also take recommendations for people as guests,
yes.
So let us know.
Good. Nice.